Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. This is your daily horoscope for May 13th. And of course, this is the day that Venus is stationing retrograde. And if you'd like to know more about Venus retrograde, go ahead and make sure to check out my new video on Venus retrograde where I went into the horoscope. I did a meditation for this Venus retrograde as well as a card pull for the collective. So make sure to go ahead and check that out. There are a few other aspects that are happening here on May 13th that we're going to discuss as well. So, first of all, we have Mars, which is now entering into Pisces here in this conjunction with Ceres. And so Mars is now out of Aquarius, where we've had all of this time to plan, to come up with what we want to manifest and create here in the future, what are our goals, our ambitions. And now this is in Pisces, where this is time to just believe and to just have the hope that where you planted your seeds is where you're going to see this growth take place. Because Mars is no longer in Aquarius, where we have the logic, we have the skills, we have this insight into the future of this clarity of where we want to act and move in the direction of. It's now lost into this dreamland of Pisces, where if you have the hope, you have the belief, then these seeds that you started to plant here back in Mars and Aquarius will start to grow and manifest. And so this is a major time of, do you believe? Do you have the hope? Do you have the belief? Right? And we talked a lot about that with Jupiter being in Capricorn, which we are one day away from seeing this Jupiter station retrograde. So this will be our third planet here that is retrograde, and Jupiter following as our fourth planet tomorrow. So there is this big retrograde season that we are now in, that we have a lot of internal work to do as far as relationships, as far as our goals, our success, what we want to create, what we want to see manifest. And so are you using this creative, expressive energy that is happening here? This is a big question. And with Mars and Pisces, are we going to create something that is beautiful, or are we going to stay in this place of dreaming, hoping, and wishing? And remember that during that Mars in Aquarius timeline that we were in, that this was a major time of starting to plant those seeds, because now Mars has come into a space where it is weakened, right? As Mars is all about this action, this direction, this purpose. It is now in Pisces where it must dream, it must believe. It's very much lost in this spiritual dreamland of Pisces. And of course, we're going to see Mars move on later on into Aries, where it will retrograde in September. And so Mars is in a very weak spot here, right? We had this very small space of really starting to take action, push towards our goals, make a plan of what we want. And so now this is time where this Mars energy is starting to settle down. And we're going to see major blocks with this Mars retrograde that is coming in September. But Mars is now in this square over to the North Node in Gemini. And so there is this big calling here that is this North Node that wants to take the logical steps, wants to move towards the facts, the informations, the details, wants to move towards true connection and communication, to logically turn this dream of this South Node in Sagittarius into reality. And remember that Mars is here in this space of dreaming and believing and spirituality, where there's a square here. There's a conflict of, are we just going to hope and wish and dream about what we can actually create and make happen in our reality? And so in this block that we have here, remember that with all of this passion to dream and believe, that we want to take this belief and make it something that is actually tangible and real in our reality. And that, of course, is that North Node in Gemini that is in a conjunction with Venus and Vesta. And so Vesta is in this conjunction with Venus retrograde. Remember that Vesta is dealing with this internal flame, this spark of passion and creativity that is within us all. And as it's in this conjunction with Venus, we have all of this creative energy to create the reality that we want to see in our lives through logical steps, thinking and communicating with this Gemini energy that is building. And of course, we have Mercury, which has already entered into Gemini here. Mercury is moving very quickly. It's already here at 2 degrees of Gemini. And so Mercury's at home here, right, where this is all about thinking and communicating in a logical way. And so we have the answers now. We have the connections. We have the resources to create what we want to see manifest into this reality. And we are still in this space of manifesting what it is that we want and value, as the sun is still in Taurus, right? And with the sun at these last degrees of Taurus, this is where this Taurus energy starts to become more serious, becomes more disciplined in terms of starting to create and starting to go after the things that we want, as this is more of a Saturnian energy, right? Dealing with this Saturn energy of duty and responsibility and achieving our goals and success. And so this is leading up to the sun entering into Gemini, starting us off on a brand new season that is all about new experiences and opportunities. And we saw this coming, right? Remember that we had that new moon where we saw the sun, we saw the moon, we saw Mercury in this conjunction with Uranus in Taurus, which is this breakdown of our values, of our security, as Uranus is in here making these chaotic changes and unexpected surprises to help us elevate to the next level. And so with Uranus here in Taurus, this is a big change in our values, in our foundation, in our security, in our self-worth. This is trying to elevate us to the highest degree. And so if you're trying to latch on to something that is old here, this is going to work against you, right? We are going through this space of radical change here as Uranus is trying to elevate our values and our worth in life. Now with this, remember that we have all of this creative energy to change, to create a new reality that is of the highest value, highest worth to us in our lives. But something that we are seeing here is this Chiron, which is in a conjunction with Lilith in Aries, right, where we're seeing these wounds of our image. And it is in this semi-square over to the sun in Taurus. And so are we in a space of trying to step into who we really are to create this life that is of the highest value and worth to us, but then backing out because the image does not look the way that we believe that we should be presenting it to others? And so there is a holdback here in terms of creating what we want in our reality, based upon how we look, how we're presenting ourselves, how we're coming off to others. And so there's a big question here of what is it that you really want? And especially with Lilith here in this conjunction of Chiron, that actually deep down what we want is to heal these wounds of these attachments to identity and actually step into who we really are so that we can have this higher value in our lives. And so there's a lot here in terms of what we are working on, what we are creating. And remember that the big news here is always going to be this Venus retrograde in Gemini that is about creating this relationship and this expression and this happiness and joy that is connected to what is of the highest value to us in our lives, what is destined, as it is in this conjunction with the North Node and Gemini. And so with this Venus retrograde, remember that your thoughts are the holding pattern that is holding you back from having the true connection and true joy that you are looking for in terms of love and connection and relationships. Because remember that this Gemini energy is this teenager energy of curiosity, of openness to new ideas and new experiences. And so with this, are you open to stepping into something that is new, to something that is different? Or are you going to latch on and hold on to something that is old, that is keeping you in the past? And especially as we have this North Node in this square over to Mars and Pisces, that are we trying to act on something from the past? Are we trying to act on these old subconscious feelings and patterns that are keeping us caged and pinned down in the past and preventing us from having these brand new experiences? And we talked about that moon in Capricorn, where we were focused on work, we were focused on discipline, we were focused on getting to our goals and our accomplishments. But with the moon in Aquarius, right, and we talked a little bit about this with that Venus retrograde, that this moon in Aquarius is in a trine over to Mercury in Gemini. And so this moon in Aquarius, which is in this giant stellium that we have over here, right, is trying to give us the clarity and the logic to truly connect to what we want in our lives, to be successful, to move towards the future, to move towards our highest values, right? We have the logic, we have the details, we have the clarity, we have the information to start acting on what we want. But be careful that you are not disconnecting, as this Aquarius moon wants to disconnect from feeling to focus on what is logical. And so it is a space of actually connecting with others and bringing in ideas and bringing in true connection to get to your goals and achievements in life, and not trying to back out and disconnect. And with this huge conjunction here, the moon is in this territory of this very challenging, very difficult energy of this Saturn retrograde, of Jupiter that is about to retrograde, and of this Pluto retrograde, where this is very challenging energy. This is very restrictive. This is bringing up a lot of pain, a lot of blocks, a lot of difficulties in our lives. And so be careful that you're not trying to escape from feeling, as this whole zone here is about success, about getting to the top, about your goals, your achievements. And it is in opposition of the true expression of self and the true feeling and connection that is down here in this zone of Cancer and Leo. And so be very cautious that you are not disconnecting from these hardships and feelings that are coming up, especially during a Pluto retrograde that is bringing up a lot of pain and trauma and fears and blocks that need to be faced and addressed so that we can grow and learn and evolve to our highest potential with this Pluto retrograde energy that is the rising of the Phoenix, and not trying to stay in this lower vibration of Pluto that is of control by latching on to these old past experiences and pain and trauma and fears and blocks. And so this is a major time of releasing control and allowing yourself to experience these feelings, to go through these experiences of change so that you can step into your greatest potential. And so be very cautious here that you are not disconnecting. And with this, Mercury is actually in this quintile over to Neptune and Pisces. Right, which we saw a semi-square of these two energies very early on here. And we're going to see a full-on square as Mercury makes its way through Gemini, where this is trying to give you the understanding that if you are believing, if you have the hope, the optimism, the dream of where you want to go, and you apply that to the facts, the details, the information, the clarity of the plan, of the logical way of executing this, then you will be successful. But remember that we're not trying to detach one from the other, where we are getting caught up in this South Node Sagittarius story of this hoping and wishing and dreaming and believing, but not actually bringing anything into existence. And we're not trying to get caught up into this detachment up here of this moon in Aquarius, of trying to just connect to what is logical without any real emotional connection. And so we want to find a way to bring both of these energies together of believing in yourself, but also having the logical plan of executing what it is that you want to experience in your reality. And so there is a lot going on here, and there is a lot here with relationships, as this is a Juno in Libra in a conjunction with the vertex in Virgo. We talked a lot about that with that Venus in retrograde horoscope. Make sure you go ahead and check that out so that you don't miss out on what is coming here. But this is in a opposition over to this Chiron in Aries that is in a conjunction with Lilith. And so are we trying to hold on to fears and insecurities to block ourselves from true connection and true commitment in our lives in the way that we fully want to experience this? And this Venus in retrograde will bring up a lot of lessons here around relationships and what you want to fully experience during this period. So a lot of work that we have to do here in reviewing and going over our lives and seeing where the issues are that we need to work on and improve on in our lives. I also pulled some cards here for May 13th as well. So first card here is the Two of Swords. We need to make a major choice, a major decision about what is logical. What is the path that we're going to take, right? And we talked a lot about that, especially with the North Node being in Gemini, that there is a dual nature to Gemini, and this North Node in Gemini is our destiny, is our karmic path of the direction of which we need to go in. And so what is that direction? What is your ultimate choice of where you are headed at this time? Our challenge card here that is blocking us from this ultimate choice is the void of course moon. And so we feel empty. We feel like something's missing here, which goes along with this moon in Aquarius that is trying to detach from feeling. But there's something big about remembering to actually connect to your feelings and believing in yourself and connecting with others that actually is a part of this mission. Of course, because this North Node is in Gemini, where this is all about connecting to your immediate environment through communication, through learning, through the details, through the facts, through these little interactions with those around you. And so are you really connected within your reality, within your environment? This is a big question, as this is blocking you from moving into the direction that is destined for you. Last card here, as we were just talking about feeling, we have water, where this is about listening to your feelings, right? And not listening to this belief, this story, this fantasy of this Neptune and Pisces in the lower octave, but actually listening to your feelings in the higher octave of Neptune, in this intuition, in this clarity, in this wisdom, in this instinct, right? And connecting emotionally. Remember that Pisces is the sign of empathy, where are we trying to disconnect completely with this moon in Aquarius, of disconnecting from our feelings and just focusing on just logic? Or are we applying the logic to our feelings that is driving this passion of this Mars and Pisces to create, to experience what we are truly looking for and what we truly desire, that truly deeply fulfills us in our lives? So that was your horoscope for May 13th, 2020. Thanks so much for joining. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. If you'd like to share some motivational advice, some spiritual wisdom, some positivity, feel free to join the group Astro, Metaphysical, Love, and Light on Facebook. And I want to thank you all once again so much for joining. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.